Could we please differentiate the government from the people? Josh Barro says, no, the people elect this government over and over. Yo. These are the guys that were...
He says the Iran-US ceasefire terms are clear and explicit. The US must choose ceasefire or continued war via Israel. It cannot have both. The world sees the massacres in Lebanon. The ball is in the US court, and the world is watching whether it will act on its commitments. We're going to bring in Tawhid Asadi, joining us now live from Tehran. Iran already warning of ceasefire violations just in the first few hours of this ceasefire, and using some very strong language, particularly from the Revolutionary Guard, about how it might respond.
Yes, indeed. We hear this strong message from the Iranian side, warning about the repercussion of the breach of the ceasefire agreement. And obviously, Lebanon and the situation there seems to be critically important, as you mentioned, from the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and also from the Speaker of the Parliament. And added to that, now we hear from the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian during his phone call with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. He came out to say that the ceasefire in Lebanon is one of the pivotal conditions when it comes to the 10-point Iranian proposal directed to the United States. And obviously, this is not the only factor that runs the risk of further escalation and a potentiality of maybe Iran's withdrawal from the ceasefire agreement. But also we know that in addition to that, Iranians are now talking about the attacks that happened in Lavan Island. Also, they are talking about the downing of a drone in central areas of the country. And obviously, all in all, we can say that we're dealing with a very, I would say, brittle and fragile situation as Iran and the United States are heading towards a meeting on Friday scheduled in Istanbul, in Islamabad, my apologies, to pave the way.
That's crazy. You see? He forgot. Turkey is no longer at the table. Turkey is no longer the table. Pakistan is now the table. Pakistan is now at the table. He said Istanbul, sorry, Islamabad. Because normally in these conversations, it's always Turkey at the table, you know? Oh, how far we have fallen.
For a diplomatic settlement to settle down the issues, but still we know that even when it comes to that meeting, Iran says it's going to take part. Iranian president as well as the National Security Council of the country confirmed that, but the context is surrounded by this cloud of mistrust when it comes to Iranian perspective towards any rapprochement with the United States. And obviously, that's coming from the very fact that they've already tried the trajectory of negotiation and diplomatic engagement, not once but twice over the past 10 months. I think all sides are pretty much aware of how high the stakes are, but still Iranian side is talking about a preparedness, a full readiness for any confrontational scenario down the road. This is what we hear from the IRGC, the military sources here, that it seems in a sense they are not that much positive that there's going to be a sustained peace, even though the country is trying the trajectory of diplomatic engagement.
Tawhid Asadi there talking to us from Tehran. Thank you very much indeed.
Ambassador, thank you.
What was that? Oh, here's Nathan Pemberton's article on the New York Times. Hassan Piker can stream, but can he stump? The progressive popular Tush rumor is controversial. Some Democrats test his political influence on the 2022 campaign trail. Let's take a look. All right. Finally, I assume some decent press coverage. Deep inside the sprawling campus acreage of Michigan State University, leftist political pundit and streamer Hasan Piker stood before a packed lecture hall, taking in a rapturous welcome. Crowd about 400 people, many wearing hoodies and headphones, plus the occasional keffiyeh scarf, had waited hours outside of a frigid Tuesday afternoon to see Mr. Piker and Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, a progressive Muslim candidate running for U.S. Senate in Michigan's tightly contested Democratic primary. For the last 2.5 years, they smeared people like myself and people like yourselves, Mr. Piker said, pointing a finger towards his listeners. They claimed we were radical, said that we were wrong, and yet we persevered because we understood the violence that was taking place. The implied they here wasn't Mr. Piker's normal opposition on the right, but instead its critics within the Democratic Party. In recent weeks, they have dredged up streamers' past comments about the Hamas-led October 7th attack on Israel, which he has called a direct consequence of Israeli and U.S. actions, and the September 11 attacks, which he once said America deserved, though he later apologized. Is a charge amplified by the founders of the center-left think tank Third Way, which wrote a Wall Street Journal opinion piece last month urging the Democratic Party to break ties with Mr. Piker for his, in air quotes, Jew hate. On stage, the avowed socialist said, but one short response to his distractors. Screw him, Mr. Piker said. Well, I said fuck him. Though he opted for a four-letter word that shattered the crowd's attentive silence into a roar of defiant approval. This anti-establishment rebel, who has professed his love for things like streetwear, anti-imperialist politics, and marathon streaming sessions, is now at the center of white-hot debate among some in the Democratic Party during his professional turn on the stump. In recent months, Mr. Piker's stream has featured a number of prominent Democratic politicians, including Mayor Zohran Mamdani of New York, Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat of California, and Shoykat Chakrabarti, progressive candidate running to fill Representative Nancy Pelosi's seat. With the approaching midterm primary elections, Democrats seem to want what Piker has, a devoted audience of young voters, mostly male, yet will not embrace a 34-year-old commentator. Despite the party's well-documented struggles with winning over highly online young voters, some Democrats representing the party's establishment, pro-Israeli flank, are making a coordinated push to drive Mr. Piker out of the coalition. CNN and Fox News have made Mr. Piker the subject of roundtables. Politico surveyed Democratic politicians about the so-called Piker pickle. And now Mr. Piker's primary antagonist, Third Way, has begun to circulate a letter demanding that Dr. El-Sayed disavow Mr. Piker over his past comments. The website Jewish Insider has imitated his tactic to pressure Democrats who have received even a whiff of support from Mr. Piker, as in the case of Senator John Ossoff of Georgia, to publicly condemn the streamer. Mr. Ossoff's Senate re-election campaign has so far ignored the group's inquiry. Ahead of the rally, Mr. Piker's planned appearance has also drawn attacks from Dr. El-Sayed's primary rivals. It's a debate that many of the students at the Michigan State rally found laughable. I just don't think Hasan's anti-Semitic at all, said Colin Smith, 20, who was taking a selfie with the stage in view as Mr. Piker was introduced. Mr. Smith, a student at nearby Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, like many at the event, first came to watch Mr. Piker stream as a teenager during the pandemic years. He's also a supporter of Dr. El-Sayed, whom he discovered through Senator Bernie Sanders during a fighting oligarchy event in the state. Mr. Smith felt that much of the criticism was motivated by religious bias given Mr. Piker's Muslim identity. He's done so much for the Jewish community, constantly pushing back against actual anti-Semites like Nick Fuentes, Mr. Smith said, referring to the 27-year-old white nationalist streamer. Mr. Piker likes to describe himself as a megaphone for his ability to call out the failures of the Democratic establishment and, in turn, lure back disaffected young men, some of whom have drifted to the right or dropped out of the political process entirely. Nick Serafinoff, a 29-year-old project manager who had traveled from Detroit to attend the rally, described himself as one of those disillusioned young men. After Mr. Sanders' exit from the presidential primary in 2016, he stopped voting, a decision he now regrets. He credits Mr. Piker for bringing him back into the fold after learning about Dr. El-Sayed on the nightly stream. Like many of the young voters who listen to Mr. Piker, Mr. Serafinoff is frustrated by the Democratic Party's refusal to condemn the war in Gaza. There has to be a willingness to meet people where they are, he said. Earlier that day, Mr. Piker, in an interview with the New York Times, described the criticism of him as boomer desperation. During the conversation, Mr. Piker said his opponents in the Democratic Party had little understanding of the new media landscape. He then began the day's live stream commenting on the President Trump's threat to destroy Iran's entire civilization. For the next 9 hours, Mr. Piker's every move could be followed on Twitch as he traversed green rooms and campaign vans, press gaggles, and auditorium stages, accompanied all the while by a shaggy-haired cameraman named Mauricio Miranda. Oh, shit. Mauricio mentioned. Hey, yo. The stream, which held steady at about 35,000 viewers throughout the day, seemed to exist as a parallel universe. The chat furiously commented on Mr. Piker's surroundings in a thread that moved too fast to follow. Students thronged around Mr. Piker, asking the streamer for selfies. At Michigan State, one student asked Mr. Piker to autograph a copy of the Labor Manifesto, Secrets of Successful Organizing. Obviously, he's tapped a nerve for a lot of folks who do not trust traditional media to sift through our politics, Dr. El-Sayed said in an interview. Dr. Al-Sayed, who lost his bid to be the Michigan governor in 2018, appeared alongside Mr. Piker last summer as the two men traveled to Dearborn, home to one of the largest Muslim communities in the country. They met locals and indulged in manosphere-style recreation, working out and eating kebabs. Dr. Al-Sayed, a former health director in Wayne County, has stood by Mr. Piker during a fraught moment, refusing calls to disavow the streamer's past comments. He told reporters on Tuesday at Michigan State that these efforts amount to cancel culture. While speaking with the Times, Dr. Al-Sayed, who is a practicing Muslim, stopped short of describing himself as anti-Zionist as Mr. Piker does. Do I believe that Palestinians deserve equal rights to things like dignity, self-determination, and peace? He said, yes, I do. And if that makes me anti-something, I don't know. I guess I'm just more pro-something. For Muslim Americans like Dr. Al-Sayed, the memories of the 2024 presidential election are still painful, he said, partly because of what he sees as the Democratic Party's refusal to engage with pro-Palestinian activists. At the time, Dr. Al-Sayed supported the Uncommitted Movement, an Arab American-led push for Democratic candidates to back a ceasefire in Gaza. The Cloverfield, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Ali Alam, 21, a senior at the University of Michigan and a chair of the Muslim Coalition on campus, pointed out that in 2024, Kamala Harris had campaigned alongside the Republican former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, a political figure he considered to be far more contentious than Mr. Piker. She literally helped architect mass murder overseas, said Mr. Alam, referring to Ms. Cheney's support for the Iraq War. But we didn't hear any of the backlash we're seeing now for a Twitch streamer. In a brightly lit classroom, Mr. Piker and Dr. Al-Sayed wrapped up the final interviews of the day as weary campaign staff members collapsed onto chairs. It's different, Mr. Piker said, of his experience on the campaign trail. His live stream after 9 consecutive hours had finally come to an end. You're thinking about how the things you might say might negatively impact the candidate. It's hard to dial it back for me, but I think I did it. Nathan Taylor Pemberton is a reporter covering politics and culture for The Times. Who was the journalist at the second location that Abdul told he wouldn't answer a question that couldn't be defined? And what did that person ask? I couldn't hear it at the time. It was my favorite stalker from the Free Press, Olivia Reingold, who recently wrote an article about how she's an October 8 Jew. There's also another good Guardian article from Bhaskar Sunkara, which is... Why do elite Democrats fear Hasan Piker? I don't even know this photo existed, by the way. The party establishment rushed to condemn the Twitch streamer after news of his alliance with the Michigan State candidate. Gas has topped $4 a gallon for the first time since 2022. The president's approval rating fell below 40%. The war in Iran is entering a 6th week with thousands dead and no end in sight. The Strait of Hormuz is blockaded, food prices are climbing, and U.S. households are staring down hundreds of dollars in added living expenses. So naturally, the Democratic Party has found something truly urgent to focus on: a Twitch streamer. The latest intra-party panic was triggered by Abdul Al-Sayed, a progressive running in Michigan's competitive Democratic Senate primary, who announced that Hasan Piker would appear at 2 campaign rallies alongside him. The response from the party establishment was swift. Representative Brad Schneider branded Piker an unapologetic anti-Semite. Michigan's own Senator Elise Slotkin, a former Pentagon official, weighed in with her condemnation, as did Representative Haley Stevens, one of Syed's primary rivals. Another opponent, Mallory McMorrow, who is enthusiastically went as far as to liken Piker to Nick Fuentes, a white supremacist who has enthusiastically praised Adolf Hitler on camera. When Politico came calling, both Cory Booker and Ruben Gallego rushed to declare they would refuse an invitation to appear on Piker's stream. It was quite the pile-on. But who is Hasan Piker, and why have some Democratic Party elites branded him enemy number one? Piker is one of the most watched political streamers in the country. His audience skews young and male, exactly the demographic that deserted Democrats in historic numbers in 2024. He's a socialist who talks about class politics, foreign policy, and the failures of the American system with a directness that clearly resonates with millions. Last month, he joined a solidarity convoy bringing humanitarian aid to Cuba. He's also the guy who turned down $500,000 to play poker on stream and who walked away from $1 million offer from Polymarket for his 2024 election night coverage. At a time when surveys show nearly 40% of young men admit to betting more than they can afford, that consistency is worth something. It also puts Piker on a higher plane than some establishment figures. Stephanie Cutter, Obama's former deputy campaign manager, announced just days ago that she's excited to be advising Kalshi, one of Polymarket's prediction market competitors. Guess who else is also getting paid by Kalshi? CNN. Just, So you guys understand where I'm at with my consistency as a singular force that could be considered a media entity versus fucking CNN and Fox News. One of Polymarket's prediction market competitors, the establishment's moral compass, is conveniently selective. As Piker said things that are offensive, of course, he's a streamer or broadcast for hours a day. The medium almost guarantees it. But the specific charges being recycled against him are years old. A 2019 remark that America deserved 9/11, which he has since walked back as hyperbolic critique of U.S. foreign policy, forceful criticism of Israel and its crimes in Gaza, and the time he called ultra-Orthodox Jews inbred. Inbred is an unfortunate but standard piece of American insult vernacular. This is a British paper, so they're explaining it. Piker himself uses it freely against white nationalists, neo-Nazis, and anyone else he dislikes. He has said he regrets applying it to Jewish people specifically and will not do so again. None of this is new, and none of it makes Mick Morrow's comparison of Piker to Nick Fuentes, an actual Holocaust denier, anything but ludicrous. None of it was a problem for establishment Democrats until the day El Sayed announced his rally. The framing of Piker as a threat to all that is decent is nothing but a campaign tactic designed to kneecap a progressive challenger in a primary race. It's worth reflecting on the power of the respective sides of this controversy. Cory Booker, for example, is a United States senator. Hasan Piker is a guy with a laptop and an audience. Booker supports a bill that would unconstitutionally ban boycotts of Israel and has repeatedly voted to arm a country that has killed tens of thousands and leveled the Gaza Strip. But a streamer who says strident things about it from his living room is somehow beyond the pale. The double standard tells you everything about what the establishment considers dangerous, not the exercise of actual state power, but the existence of a popular voice they can't control. On Pod Save America, Booker said he had never even heard of Piker before this past week. This is revealing in a way Booker probably didn't intend. A senator who aspires to lead the party can't be bothered to know who commands the attention of millions of the young voters he claims to want back, but he can't. But he can be mobilized overnight to condemn the guy. His priority clearly isn't engaging with the audience, though he does find time to text message back and forth like teenagers with the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. God damn. After 2024, Democrats conducted an anguished post-mortem about why young men were abandoning the party. Pundits filled columns wondering where the party's Joe Rogan was, someone with actual cultural reach who could talk to disaffected young men on their own terms. As Ryan Zickgraf pointed out, they got one, and the party's first instinct was to try to cancel him. What this episode makes painfully clear is that for too many leading Democrats, the priority is defeating progressives within their own ranks and triangulating their way back to power behind a well-heeled professional base. Palestine has become a populist issue among young Americans in a way that the Democratic mainstream still refuses to comprehend, not just in Brooklyn and Ann Arbor, but in rural and working class communities where people are angry and where anger at the human cost of U.S. foreign policy doesn't break neatly along the lines the party expects. We are living through an era of extremes, a war in Iran that almost no one asked for, an economy that's squeezing ordinary people, and a president whose approval is cratering. The old playbook of moderating and scolding isn't just uninspiring, it's a proven loser. Abdul Al-Sayed understands that you can't meet this moment by hiding from the people who are actually reaching the voters you lost. The Democratic establishment's problem isn't Hasan Piker. It's that they've run out of ideas and they'd rather police who progressives talk to than offer the country something worth voting for. Bhaskar Sunkar is the president of the nation, the founding editor of the Jacobin, and the author of the Socialist Manifesto, the case for radical politics in an era of extreme inequalities. I want to see the comments. W article, by the way. It's not that complicated. Twitch and its attention-based ecosystem rewards outrage and edgy commentary to the establishment who represents the milquetoast moderate center, where you still find 80% of the electorate are afraid that the moderates will be offended by the edgy stuff. Again, 44 articles read, confirmed article head, true. This is the same commentator who said 9/11 was a good thing, right? America deserved it, apparently. And the Guardian article wonders why Democrats are desperate to distance themselves from him. I find it distressing that the article does not bring up Piker's seemingly equivocal stance on the Armenian genocide. Wait, what? And on Ilham Aliyev's brutal conquest and ethnic cleansing of Artsakh, issues that resonate with the crucial constituency in Michigan, and that also ought to engage the conscience of every principled Democrat, minuscule D intended. Why should uniting the left include picking and choosing among which genocides to condemn? What the fuck is this guy saying? Wait, is he... When he says seemingly equivocal stance on the Armenian genocide, he means like, I actually equivocally condemned the Armenian genocide as well, right? As I condemn the, y'all are so brainwashed by a rich motherfucker trying to act like he cares about anyone but himself. Lamau. There's a CBS one. Oh, yeah. Okay. We read. How would you feel about the next U.S. president pulling all support from Israel? Huh. Oh, baby. These are all good answers, but I feel like we need to stop and take inventory of the fact that CBS News of Murrow and Cronkite fame now is a full-time staffer whose job is to stalk a Twitch streamer and ask rambling, unlettered gotcha questions to whoever he's standing next to. Oh, yeah, this was the Olivia Reingold situation.
Follow up on the answer you just gave there. How is that not an equivocation? Because the logic, if you extend the logic there, that would be like if after October 7th, someone went to a mosque and was upset, you know, did something awful there. How is that logic? How does that not translate?
Well, after October 7th, there was a whole genocide against Palestinians.
They blew up a lot of mosques in Gaza. I don't know if Free Press reported on that. Sorry.
So no, I just look at the end of the day, we can play this rhetorical game where we pretend that all actions stand on their own without a context, or we can try and have an adult conversation about context that exists in the world. Because at the end of the day, we all live in the same confined world. The things that happen one place in the world can affect what happens somewhere else in the world. And if we're serious about preventing bad things from happening in the world, we also have to be serious about the context in which they're created. And I'm trying to be serious about that context. So I can both say that the attack on Temple Israel was anti-Semitic and wrong. And I can also say that the circumstances that created that, it didn't happen in a vacuum. And that those circumstances that created that are important to stand up against as well.
She's so embarrassingly stupid every time she shows up. She just ends up getting made fun of for a couple of days. I know.
So the notion that somehow...
Isn't it weird? I feel... is it weird that I feel a little bit bad? Is that fucked up? I don't know what it is. Like, it's just... I mean, she's not a good person. Like, her output is like really fucking devastating, really awful. But in some ways, I'm just like, I don't know. I feel kind of bad about it.
I cannot condemn a war that killed a little boy and a little girl in Lebanon because of an attack on Temple Israel. Seems to me inconsistent with the way the world actually works. And I'd like to live in a world where we stand up against...
I drew this of Olivia stalking you the night of the Zoran victory party.
Wrong, understanding that wars that we should not be fighting.
Yeah, I think it's secondhand embarrassment. Yeah. No, Chatter is right. This is funny. I saw this. This is so stupid. Look at this. They're clapping for him, ma'am. Another rare Tim Miller W. Yeah, Tim Miller's been impressive lately.
Understanding that there really is a connection between the two of them, however much the rhetorical games that people try to play tell us that there somehow is not.
We're going to take two more questions. I'm sorry, we're going to have to move on to the next person. I'm sorry, Olivia.
As a Jewish state.
Olivia, we're going to have to
I'd love to
move
take the
on.
question. I'd love to take the question, actually.
Thank you.
What do you mean by Jewish state?
I feel like
if you can't define the question, I'm not going to answer your question.
Damn.
We're going to move on to the next.
He just fucking snapped back. That was great. That was great. Yeah, I think the Free Press knows it's going to happen. They just send her anyway. This is funny. Is this a lady who writes about not having friends all the time? Girl, put down the Zionism and join a kickball league. Tim Miller genuinely wants the Dems to win. It seems like, yeah. Breaking, Trump administration considering plan to punish members of NATO who were unhelpful to the U.S. and Israel during Iran war and possibly moving U.S. troops out of those countries and stationing them in countries that were more supportive. Move every single U.S. troop in the world to Israel. Oh, that's so... Oh my God. Fuck it, dude. Oh, amazing. I mean, it literally is helpful for everybody. Imagine taking the Marines out of Okinawa and South Korea, where they're wreaking havoc on the fucking streets, getting drunk driving, killing families, you know, and instead just slamming them into Israel, the size of New Jersey. What? Israel, a small nation. Yeah, put them all in there, dude. Drunk driving rate in Haifa will rise by 3,000%. Yeah. Well, yeah, where are they going to put all the troops? Hungary and Israel. Yeah, where's the Tim Miller quote? Where is it? We got it. Oh, here it is. This is crazy. This is an 8-minute convo between Josh Buttheimer, one of my least favorite, alongside Moskowitz. Buttheimer and Moskowitz are like the two worst Democrats on Israel. Straight up. Like there's the actual, the Palestine tracker shows it. I think it's like Henry Cuellar, Gottheimer, and Moskowitz, I think. Anyway, he was questioned about this, right? He was questioned about his lack of opposition to the war in Iran.
Why not just oppose this? I don't understand why there'd be.
I mean, Buttheimer is bad on everything. It's not just Israel. He's like one of the more conservative, which is crazy.
Any interest from a Democratic member in a war when we don't know what the objectives are, can't trust the people running it.
Knowing what kind of threat Iran poses, I believe the importance of stopping that threat is critical. But there's different ways to stop a threat. Right?
Sure.
And especially, I don't believe regime change right now, for instance, is something that you could do unless you're going to put troops on the ground, and I don't support that. That doesn't mean that I don't still believe it's a threat.
So I guess I'm just confused. So do you want him to keep going? Like, what do you want to happen? Would you like him to say, we're pulling out of this, we're going to try to do a face-saving deal, or do you want them to keep pressing forward?
What I'd like is to find out we get a deal, which is going to reopen the straits, is going to make sure that we can get gas prices down, some commitments on their nuclear program and their drone and ballistic missile program, to understand what we're going to do financially to contain their terror proxy program.
Is that where we were 6 weeks ago? And the strait was open 6 weeks ago. They had bombed the nuclear facilities last year.
If we massively...
Yeah, that's... I mean, it's so indefensible. It's so fucking stupid. It's exceptionally stupid when you're doing it as a Democrat, okay? It's spectacularly stupid when you're doing it as a Democrat. Like, you're defending the least popular guy's least popular actions.
Diminish those programs, that would be a good thing.
I mean, I guess if the regime is still in charge, though, and
right.
the IRGC is still in charge, and they've demonstrated that they have control over the strait, I mean, sure, they've lost some ships and missiles. That could be replenished. We caused all this harm. We caused all this international harm. We've pissed off our allies. People at home have higher gas prices. For what end? We got rid of a couple of their missiles and ships. Who cares?
Don't say who cares on that, because what if we told you, hey, by the way, we've set back their missile, drone, and...
I guess the one thing I will give credit to Buttheimer on is that he's a little bit more honest about most of these other... he's a little bit more honest about this issue than the rest of the Democrats that are also kind of on the same boat, but they just don't want to say the quiet part out loud. Because, like, other Democrats are like, oh, Trump, this was a fucking big L. This was a big failure. Like, we opposed the war on procedural grounds, right? At least he's like, I don't oppose the war. It's good. I'm glad it's happening. Because Democrats also say that they like the goals. They just don't like the process that Trump took, which is so fucking stupid. Like, they're like, oh, we agree with the goals. We just don't like the process. Okay, well, at least Gottheimer's more honest, you know? He's like, yeah, I don't care about the process. I agree with the goals. I'm in favor of the war.
Nuclear program several years. Would you consider that a win or a loss?
I mean, they said that last year, and now we're in a war with them again. And I think that China and Russia could replenish them. Russia's replenishing them now. Obviously, that's how they shut down our plane. Now they know they can control the strait, so we've given them more power and leverage. We've alienated.
Tim Miller not giving credit to the indigenous weapons manufacturing industry of Iran. Okay, that's fine.
Our European allies and our Asian allies, and people in America who had no idea what the purpose was of this war, who did not feel at all threatened by their ballistic missile capabilities, are going to suffer major economic consequences. We pushed it back their capabilities 2 years to screw over our own people. That feels like a terrible deal.
Do you think them having a nuclear weapon would be a disaster?
Sure, but they've been on the cusp of having a nuclear weapon for a long time. We had a deal with them under the Obama administration that Trump had taken us out of. There were other potential options.
We did nothing to diminish their terror program.
It seems to me.
Yes, no, that's not true. The JCPOA was good. That is actually, in my opinion, the lack of mention of Obama's legacy on this issue is what gives the game away for me. Because I am a critic of Obama, right? I'm a critic of Joe Biden, but I defend Joe Biden's decision to courageously pull out of Afghanistan, right? And I'm a critic of I was gonna say Biden. I'm a critic of Obama, but I have always defended JCPOA because it was good. I call balls and strikes, okay? And the fact that like every Democrat is not constantly yelling about the fact that Trump pulled us out of the JCPOA, which is supposed to be one of the signature accomplishments of the most popular former Democratic president, one of the most popular alive Democrats, kind of gives the game away. It gives the game away. Democrats didn't like it either. Many of them didn't like it either. Maybe some of them are still operating with the, oh, you don't want to be in opposition of the Afghanistan war mentality, right? Where they're like, oh, we'll look weak. It'll be, they'll pepper us with like attack ads and shit like that. But it's bullshit. It's total fucking bullshit. The fact that people are not constantly yelling about how there was a successful initiative if denuclearization was the goal. There was a successful initiative, and Trump got us out in the first term, and Biden didn't bring it back, and since then, you know, things have fallen apart. I guess to be fair to Donald Trump, JD Pondon, he did actually achieve a much better deal for Iran than Barack Obama, if we're thinking about it from the perspective of like letting Iran exist as a sovereign nation. It just came at an incalculable cost, a death toll in Iran over 4,000, and also almost $100 billion of American assets that were destroyed in the process. And also the global energy markets falling apart. Having said that, in the aftermath of all of that, the art of the deal is real. Now Iran gets to enrich uranium as they see fit, according to their expectations from the 10-point plan that Donald Trump said yes to. And they also get to control the Strait of Hormuz and toll it, generating a fuck ton of revenue for the Iranian government, for the Iranian people, that you can basically take as reparations for what we've done to Iran. You know? So I guess Trump was actually a lot nicer. I mean, that's sanctions relief that's coming up too, right? Iran had to fight like hell to achieve it, but it turns out it was achievable. Donald Trump did the damn thing. He was like, Obama's JCPOA didn't go far enough. We want to defend the dignity and sovereignty of Iran. The spirit of the Iranian revolution lives on in my heart, he said. He is a Taqiyya doing secret Shia, I think. Not only is he a Maoist, but also he is actually practicing Taqiyya. Turns out Donald Trump is actually the real Dr. Jihad. I mean, he did pose praise be to Allah. So you never know. Policy Tensor says, what do we have learned so far? Here's 5 most important. Everyone keeps posting this. 1, the most important discovery is that Iran is a great power. There's a real discovery that was not known to Iranians themselves. Specifically, they could not be sure in advance that a strategic victory over the U.S. was achievable. It is a fundamental discovery about the polarity of the system. There are now 4 great powers in the world, and this structure will have very important consequences going forward. I don't think Iran is a great power. It emerges as a great power out of this, but maybe I'm wrong. The idea that you can secure strategic objectives with the air weapon due to the precision strike revolution has been debunked. The combined arms orthodoxy has been vindicated, and proponents of strategic air war have again been proven wrong. We have learned that Warden's decapitation idea does not work against highly institutionalized states. This was always the position of serious scholars, but recent Israeli successes had sown some doubt about the thesis. The doubts have now vanished. We have learned that a mature precision strike regime is defense dominant. Specifically, we have learned that a great power can deny global maritime power access to its near abroad, curtailing the latter's ability to project power. As a corollary of the above, the U.S. command of the global commons is gone. The U.S. is no longer a maritime hegemon that can guarantee access to even the most important choke point in the system. This is a development of great significance in the history of capitalism. Okay, that's that. The last couple of that's fair. That's absolutely fair. It's true. It's real. It is absolutely correct. I think that that is the most consequential aspect of this, because like the great bargain of allowing America to be the world police, the imperial hegemon, the superpower that dominates the world, is that America will always allow free commerce to take place on the seas. Okay, that's the reason why we have 13 fucking aircraft carriers, right? We can be anywhere all at once. We're in all the seas. And we can deploy naval assets and our troops in a matter of weeks to dominate any country that we choose to dominate. Okay, that's huge. That also plays a major role in the dollar being the global reserve currency. It's beyond force projection. It's like the most consequential aspect of like people leaning into the American economy, because America is the great stabilizing force. I know why you say it. It seems not compatible on how many areas Iran doesn't have great power, but I think it's now proven efficient military production capacity and oil price dominance kind of prove that they are a superpower as long as the world runs on oil. Bombing isn't enough. Decapitation doesn't work, and America sucks. Got it. I mean, it's true though. The first 2 we knew already, right? The first 2 we knew already. There's never been an instance where an aerial bombing campaign alone has effectively led to regime change. You need popular forces on the ground. The only time you can point to that, the only instance where you point to that is Japan. And even then, it technically, I guess it wasn't really a regime change. And on top of that, there was the threat of a ground invasion that played a big role in this by the USSR anyway, right? And it was also a once in a lifetime. It was a nuke. It was a world-changing incident. And that's it. Venezuela? Buddy, what part of Venezuela was just an aerial bombing campaign? Venezuela was a very efficient and very swift military strike. We objectively put boots on the ground of Venezuela to extract the president. What do you think? They fucking teleported Maduro? They just like flew over with a spaceship and we're like, whoop, And then they sucked them up into the air? No, they went in. Also, the regime didn't change in Venezuela. Actually, I was thinking about this. Donald Trump keeps doing this, bro. His Afghan plan was swapping out the Taliban with the Taliban. And that was at the tail end of a 20-plus year project. At least now he's more swift. With Venezuela, he took a Chavista out and kept a Chavista in. And that was like a couple week long process with posturing around the Venezuelan coastline for a little bit and then just like a one nighttime mission. And this time it's even more efficient than Afghanistan. He literally went in, bombed the living shit out of Iran, replaced Ayatollah Khamenei with Khamenei Jr., and he did it in such an efficient way. He did it in a spectacularly efficient way. And it didn't take 20 years, right? Obviously, the Taliban also hardened its position over Afghanistan in the process of the last 20 plus years. And the same thing happened with both the IRGC and the government of Iran. Like, he actually was capable of breathing life back in to the Islamic Republic. A couple of years prior to this, the Islamic Republic is at its weakest point, okay? So weak that it can't even fucking fight back with all of its axis of resistance forces that has been funneling money to for decades. When October 7 happened, look at Iran now. You have opposition figures, dissidents, people who have been jailed in the past in the Iranian government, by the Iranian government, going out and sitting outside of fucking power plants to be like, our people are strong. We're going to defend this country. There was a total rallying around the flag effect. Donald Trump, the great nation builder, not just for China, but for everybody else, it seems. Just not for America, JD Pondon, baby. Turns out, accelerating all of our worst tendencies and leaning into our excesses was going to inevitably lead to failure after failure, also in an accelerated manner. Yeah, he's destroying a civilization. It's just ours. And I feel a sense of shame calling what we have a civilization. Let's be real. We're a very young country overall. Agreed. I'm skeptical that Iran can impose a permanent peace or construct a waterway. However, inasmuch as Iran has shown it has the ability to permanently shut the Strait of Hormuz, it could trade this new leverage for sanctions relief and reintegration into the global economy. That in itself would be a significant improvement of its position, as prior to the war, its efforts to remove sanctions had seemingly reached a final dead end. Aaron Bastani says, agreed. The development of a threshold nuclear technology was also about leverage and having a chip to end decades of sanctions. Ability to choose Hormuz with close Hormuz with conventional weapons is probably better in that regard. I still think they need to have nukes, though. As long as a nuclear Israel, or any Israel really, exists in the region, Iran has to get nukes. Okay? Because as long as Israel exists, they're gonna fuck with Iran. They're gonna keep doing this. I mean, it's obvious. Japanese TV explaining what taco means. Oh, I saw this.
Trump always chickens out.
Trump. Yeah, Moshtaba is also pro nukes, is what people were saying. Turkey charges for Bosphorus transit. Who cares that it is a natural waterway? True. Ben Rhodes says, best case scenario, Trump struck a deal to reopen a strait that was open before the pointless war he started, with the IRGC demonstrating its control over the strait and potentially extracting fees plus sanctions relief. Thousands of innocents, including hundreds of children, dead in Lebanon and Iran for no reason. U.S. troops killed and wounded. U.S. embassies based in the Middle East badly damaged. U.S. standing in the world obliterated. Okay, everyone's saying bless you. It's science you. It's science you. U.S. munitions badly depleted. Hundreds of billions spent. Prices up everywhere. More global economic fallout to come. Putin strengthened and enriched. Just a catastrophic situation, even in the best of circumstances. A profoundly shameful episode in American history, no matter what happens next. Oh, a Georgia voter was asked about Donald Trump's insane statement that morning, and it's a very awesome video. We got to watch this.
It's giving war crime. You can't do that. We don't just annihilate people because we can and, you know, make a grab for the money and the oil. And that's what we've done in Venezuela, and that's what we're doing in Iran.
It's giving war crime. I love that. This is what happens when you don't sell the war, okay? Not to give any advice to war criminals of the future, but there was a point to why even the most rabid neocons felt the need to talk about how we were going to liberalize Iraq, about how we're going to bring democracy to Iraq. We're going to liberate Iraq from the barbaric Saddam Hussein. Okay? There's a reason for it. Americans want to feel like while we're doing maximum violence, there's a good purpose for it. And for years and years, America obviously fucking kept it together. Okay? Hard to overstate how much centrist goodwill Israel has burned. A silver lining to this insane war. I saw those and they all seem sus, especially since they were all posted within 24 hours of each other. Yeah. Well, Jon Favreau is not. I wouldn't even say he's got a centrist approach to this. But Josh Barrow, because Jon Favreau's been there for a minute. Okay? He's been there for a minute. Josh Barrow, on the other hand, that's surprising. The Israelis should be punished for this, and there's no reason for a Democratic presidential candidate to suggest we will lift one fucking finger for them after the shit they have pulled, boosting the Republicans and then inducing our idiot president into launching their war. Could we please differentiate the government from the people? Josh Barrow says, no, the people elect this government over and over. Yo. These are the guys that were literally talking about like everything that I was saying after, October 8th. Being like, oh, your cause is dead. Oh, the left is dead. The left is dead. They're fucking barbaric, Islamist monsters. Yeah, you done fucked up now. Oh my God, brother. Oh my God. Look at this. Noah Smith. Eat a dick, Noah. Fuck you, Noah. Oh my God. One of the worst, one of the most annoying versions of ultra Zionism and unlimited defense of Israel came from Noah Smith. I put him in the same column as Brianna Wu. Okay? Guy who didn't fucking know shit about Israel, but after October 7 became like a mouthpiece, like a Hasbara guy out of nowhere. And just like with Brianna Wu, he had some of the funniest responses. Like he would work. He first of all invented boycott, divestment, and sanctions from first principles after reading one Isaac Chodener article from a settler. Okay. He just straight up was like, oh my God, these people are monsters. Like, we should probably boycott them, right? That was funny. Who could forget one of his first ever articles that he wrote, which was a 2-state solution. How about a 5-state solution? Okay. Americans as a whole realize that Israel is not a good ally. 60% is a solid majority, and it's only going to grow. A breakup of some kind is coming. Matt Iglesias, obviously, this war has been like a precision strike to take out pro-Israel Democrats, and if it drags on longer, it will eliminate the pro-Israel Republicans too. Oh. Yeah. Incredible. It's getting to a point. Listen. These guys they're assholes. Okay? They're assholes. They don't have any fucking reliable, consistent positions. They don't have any backbone. Oh my God, this guy too. These numbers are abysmal and isn't just sustainable for Israel in the long term. This guy's like straight up paid, I thought. I mean, these are some of the biggest grifters, dude. These are some of the biggest fucking grifters. Oh my God. It's getting to a point where the only people that will defend Israel are just like some of the most rabid ultra-Zionists around. Okay? Oh my God. These are people who've spent the last 2.5 years making my life fucking miserable, coming after me nonstop. Holy moly. Incredible. Other pro-Israel accounts is the main reason. I give Palestine activists a lot of shit, but pro-Israel guys are some of the pissiest, most arrogant people on this website. They think they can bully everyone into being pro-Israel, and it just backfires again and again. Oh my Lord. Even our biggest haters are admitting defeat on this issue. I mean, you got to carry that. You got to carry that moment of vindication and the success that we were able to achieve on this issue into all of these other positions that we have moral clarity on, you know? That's it. If we could genuinely push back and successfully defeat the massively well-funded, multi-decade long Israel lobby and its influence on American politics, its influence on organs of propaganda. I mean, sky's the fucking limit, dude. Seriously. Like, that's why I think like Cuba is small fry in comparison. The Cuban lobby is tailored off of AIPAC for sure, but it's nowhere near as powerful as like Israel's pervasive influences over American politics. I believe we can achieve anything, honestly. Yeah, Elisa Katz, editor-in-chief of JD Forward, sat down with Mahmoud Khalil and had an extended interview because he wanted to talk to Jews, including those who see his Free Palestine movement as an existential threat. His message, take it or leave it, I want to liberate everyone. And people lost their fucking minds. My question is, when is he leaving? Jonah Platt, I think this was his actual message. Do you oppose any two-state solution that seeks to preserve a Jewish majority in Israel? Does that sound like Jewish liberation to you? Buddy, you're a fascist. You're advocating for fascism. Who the fuck cares about preserving a Jewish majority in Israel? That's a fascist, okay? That's fascist ideology. And we know it's fascist because when Americans say we have to preserve a white majority in the United States of America, everybody understands that that's a fucking fascist talking, okay? People are people. There is no special category for Jews versus non-Jews. Only fucking fascists feel that way. God damn. These guys are so funny too because they're like in progressive adjacent circles for years and years, and they just like fucking cry about this shit where they're like, why can't Jews have an ethno-state? Why can't Jews have an ethno-state built on top of someone else's fucking land? Like, people were living there. Jews were living there too, but you know, a lot of non-Jews were living there and we just have to kill them. Sorry, we have to push them aside. Like, that's a ridiculous argument. Oh, God. Anyway, US VP JD warns Iran not to lie or cheat as fragile truce holds. I love that JD thinks he has a say in this process just because like Iran was like, we want to talk to JD Vance. You know? Summer Lee says she condemns all forms of hate while defending controversial decision to appear with Hassan Piker. Michigan Senate candidate El Sayed declines to disavow Hassan Piker's past comments. McMorrow is so crazy.
Thinking should be led by the people. You know the solution.
Love to write policy specifically tailored towards that massive demographic we can all aspire to be in. Black women bank CEOs. Wait, what? Oh, dude, I don't get it. Like Mallory McMorrow is such a classic case of like faux progressive, like phony. It's like she is basically like 25% more progressive Hillary Rodham Clinton.
I should be just the one who carries it forward.
Yeah. One of the things I just want to say before we go to you, Rachel, is when I met Mallory and she was telling me she was running for U.S. Senate, I said, why? True story. I said, why would you want to do that? And I said, there's all of these things going wrong.
Yeah, a lot of people think that like Graham Plattner is John Fetterman, but like this is Central Committee is right. This is the most obvious Fetter woman of all time, is so right. God, leftists, man. Leftists drop the ball so fucking much. Like they literally, like they have reasonable scrutiny over certain candidates. That's fine. But what they fail to comprehend is like there's Fettermans all around, okay? Or perhaps a better analog here would literally be Marie Concentration Camp Perez.